Ever find yourself adrift in the wide ocean of social connections, longing to be grounded in the thoughts and feelings of those around you? It's simple to feel lost, ignored, and unappreciated in this maelstrom of digital connectedness, when hundreds of voices vie for our attention. However, what if I told you that there was an ageless principle that may serve as your compass, directing you to become someone who really matters to others around you rather than simply another face in the crowd? Welcome to a trip where conventional knowledge and contemporary living collide. Today, instead of using trickery or games, we'll get deeply into the practice of putting yourself first in other people's lives by using the profound and real tenets of Stoicism. Join me as we discuss how to shine brightly enough to be seen, appreciated, and treasured in the sea of connections. Should you be prepared to uncover these mysteries, don't forget to press the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, forward this video to your social media followers, and watch through to the very end for every enlightening moment. You never know when this trip will hold the key to completely changing your relationships. Phase 1. Context and problem. We often come upon a depressing imbalance, a persistent feeling that we value people more highly than they do, in our search for importance in the intricate web of social interactions. This view, which is often clouded by the unsettling sense of being underappreciated, brings us to a deep investigation of Stoicism and self-worth. In this sense, an old philosophy full of knowledge provides us with a guiding light. The emphasis of the Stoic philosophy, which has its roots in the writings of philosophers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, is on an internal center of control. "You have power over your mind, not outside events," said the wise Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations. Acknowledge this, and you will find resilience. This potent quote reflects the Stoic notion that genuine value and satisfaction originate inside rather than from outside approval. It serves as a reminder that our worth is determined by our own opinion of ourselves and our inner fortitude rather than by the whims or opinions of others. Seneca, a fellow Stoic luminary, highlighted the need of inner strength and independence. In a beautiful statement, he said, "No wind is favorable if a man does not know to which port he sails." This realization emphasizes the need of self-awareness and having a firm grasp of our own principles and objectives. It implies that the first step to being fairly valued by others in the context of our social connections is understanding who we are and what we are worth. Epictetus supports this Stoic attitude by emphasizing the paradox of control. He said that we should let go of our anxiety about how other people see us and instead concentrate on our reactions, attitudes, and actions, all of which are within our control. This freeing separation from outside validation allows us to develop a sense of self-worth that is unaffected by the perceptions of others. Modern psychology theories also align with the Stoic attitude to discovering one's own value. The luxury of a lifetime is to become who you actually are, according to Carl Jung, a seminal pioneer in the area of psychology. Living in accordance with one's own nature and qualities offers actual worth and enjoyment, which is in line with the Stoic notion of authentic living. Step 2. Solution and application. In this investigation into enhancing our importance in other people's lives, we go to the abundant reservoir of Stoicism and the wider field of philosophical ideas for useful strategies. Here, the emphasis is on encouraging a thoughtful and honest approach to developing real, high-value connections rather than on manipulation or flimsy strategies. The knowledge of knowing and mastering what is within our control is the foundation of Stoicism. Epictetus once famously said, "We always have a choice in how we respond to our circumstances, even though we cannot choose our external circumstances." Regarding interpersonal connections, This entails concentrating on our behaviors, responses, and a sincere character of our engagements with people. We improve people's lives when we do this, increasing the likelihood that they will really cherish and appreciate us. Another well-known Stoic philosopher who stressed the need of sincerity in our relationships was Marcus Aurelius. This gets to the heart of building high-value connections and interacting with people in a sincere, compassionate, and principled manner, he said. We draw others who respect these traits to us when we live up to the values we admire, building a basis for deep and long-lasting connections in the process. Seneca's lessons on the fleeting nature of life and the significance of living in harmony with the natural world also serve as a helpful reminder to cherish the time we spend with one another. Life is long enough if it is properly lived, he added. Making every moment matter and putting our all into our relationships is highlighted by this. We may invite a reciprocal appreciation and strengthening of the tie by showing people that we value our relationships and showing them our whole attention and sincerity. Additionally, the larger philosophical framework reflects the application of these Stoic concepts. Eudaimonia, according to Aristotle, is the state attained by engaging in virtue-based pursuits that make up a life well lived. In terms of interpersonal connections, this means having honest, courteous, and mutually enriching exchanges. We build connections that are not just worthwhile, but also enhance our general sense of satisfaction and well-being when we aim for personal excellence in the way we interact with others. This method is further clarified by Carl Jung's psychological insights. He supported the idea that individuation, the process of being conscious of oneself and the outside world, has great power. According to Jung, the interaction of two personalities is comparable to that of two chemical substances. Both undergo transformation if there is any response. According to this viewpoint, we should approach relationships as whole, self-aware people who are able to build meaningful bonds that benefit and change both partners. Step 3. The Stoic Principle. This philosophy offers a deep understanding of relationships and self-worth. It is based on the wisdom of writers such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. Not only does our social circle shape our identity, but the proverb, "Show me your friends, and I'll tell you who you are," also highlights the need of reciprocity in relationships. The practice of Stoicism pushes us to look carefully at these dynamics, especially the importance we place on ourselves and how it affects how we connect with other people. Renowned Stoic philosopher and Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius highlighted the need of introspection in determining one's worth in interpersonal connections. Rather than looking outside for approval, he thought that genuine value could only be found inside. The quote, "The value of a man is measured by the value he places on himself," is attributed to Aurelius. This demonstrates the Stoic idea that our sense of value shouldn't be unduly influenced by the opinions or priorities of other people. It needs to be based on our own perceptions of our accomplishments and worth instead. Seneca, another influential Stoic thinker, discussed striking a balance between our need for independence and our social nature. Associating with individuals who are likely to make you better is what he suggested. This implies that we should choose relationships that are uplifting and mutually helpful, rather than being in ones where we feel ignored or underappreciated. It is implied by Seneca's advice that relationships might become unfulfilling if we become too needy or reliant on other people for our feeling of value. We should, on the other hand, foster partnerships that promote respect and progress for both parties. This topic is also touched upon by Epictetus, who is well known for his teachings on acceptance and control. He said that while we are powerless over our external situations, we are always in control of how we react to them. When it comes to relationships, this means realizing that it's acceptable if we're not always the people who other people prioritize. We are in charge of how we react to this realization and how we see ourselves in these situations. These ideas are echoed in Western philosophy and psychology. Finding a balance, in this instance between one's own value and the value of others in a relationship, is the path to virtue, according to Aristotle's concept of the golden mean. Reputable psychologist Carl Jung emphasized the significance of individuation, the process by which knowing and integrating one's own parts promotes personal development and better relationships. Step 4. Do something useful. Stoicism is a practical and honorable strategy that is centered on controlling our presence and availability in an effort to make ourselves feel more appreciated in our interactions. This philosophy, which is firmly based on the knowledge of great thinkers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, offers direction on how to handle social situations with grace and purpose. The significance of appreciating one's time and presence was emphasized by Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. In a world where destiny and other factors rule, he taught us that time is one of the few things we can control. We may improve our own perceived value by carefully controlling our availability, which shows others how valuable we are. The idea of intentional action, which Aurelius upheld, involves choosing carefully when and how to interact with other people. This was also the opinion of eminent Stoic philosopher Seneca. He suggested that we limit the people we spend time with and the company we keep. According to Seneca's teachings, we may help others see our worth by stepping back from time to time. According to his writing, the only way to really be happy is to be free from the control of our own wishes, to unwind, and to put our worries aside. This restorative process involves realizing the value of absence in improving our relationships and resisting the incessant demand for social approval. The Greek Stoic philosopher Epictetus highlighted the value of concentrating on the things under our control. All who are educated are free, he said. This education includes realizing that we are in charge of how we spend our time and attention in regard to other people. By limiting our availability, we demonstrate our independence and dignity, which in turn makes others appreciate and cherish us more. These Stoic ideas are also supported by Western philosophy and psychology. Speaking about the golden mean, Aristotle said that everything should be in equilibrium. This entails striking a balance in social situations between being unduly accessible and inaccessible. The Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung highlighted the significance of individuation, that is, the process of comprehending and incorporating one's own requirements and limitations. When one is self-aware, relationships are better and people respect one another's time and presence. In real terms, we may begin by wisely controlling our availability if we want to be more appreciated by others. It's about honoring our own time and encouraging others to do the same, not about playing games or being elusive. We establish a positive dynamic where people value and seek out our presence when we periodically give them permission to miss us. Recall that our responsibility is to govern our own acts and decisions with discernment and dignity, not to control other people or the course of our relationships. Step 5. Developing patience. The Stoic philosophy views patience as an art form and emphasizes its importance in prospering in the face of life's constant upheaval. This viewpoint, which is profoundly ingrained in the philosophical teachings of Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius Seneca, has eternal significance. Was well known for his introspective musings and considered patience to be a kind of inner strength. He thought that nothing outside of us should have the power to disturb our inner tranquility. It is not external circumstances that have control over your thinking. He remarked that if you realize this, you will discover strength. The patient person's stoic nature is captured in this phrase. It's about keeping a level head and strong character no matter what life throws at us, not about waiting around for things to become better. Another Stoic thinker and luminary, Seneca, had similar ideas. In his opinion, exercising patience is a deliberate act of defiance against life's swift currents, and a way to preserve composure under duress. The greatest Seneca offered advice, stating that exercising patience means making the conscious decision to stop and think rather than act without thinking. This is by no means a passive strategy. It's a conscious interaction with our emotional terrain, controlling our inclinations to provide deliberate answers. Recognized for his common sense, Epictetus stressed the importance of the duality of control, explaining that while we cannot control what happens to us, we do have complete control over how we respond to it. In this sense, patience is an expression of our power, a calm declaration of our capacity for endurance and persistence. Epictetus emphasized that genuine freedom arises from self-mastery, of which patience is an essential component, saying that no one is free who is not master of himself. Patience is consistent with the values of emotional control and resilience from a wider Western philosophical and psychological standpoint. According to Aristotle, patience is a middle ground between reckless impulsivity and passive passivity. This idea of the golden mean promotes a balanced attitude to life. The Stoic virtue of patience is in line with Carl Jung's emphasis on individuation, or the process of being conscious of oneself. We develop a degree of self-awareness and maturity that improves our relationships with others and our surroundings when we are able to recognize and control our emotions. To be patient in today's world is to live in the present without letting go of the need for answers or outcomes right away. It's about being calm in an often hectic, fast-paced environment. Because it emanates steadiness and confidence, this attribute makes us more appealing to other people. Individuals who exhibit composure and fortitude in the face of difficulty are inherently likable. Step 6 is prioritizing oneself. Within the Stoic philosophy, self-prioritization is not only recommended, but also seen as an essential component of leading a well-rounded life. This idea, which emphasizes how important it is to esteem oneself in order to be appreciated by others, is echoed across many Western philosophical and psychological ideas. The importance of self-regard was emphasized by eminent Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. "No one else will respect you if you do not respect yourself," he famously said. This quotation emphasizes the Stoic idea that our own self-respect is the foundation for how other people see and handle us. We show others that our time and energy are valuable and should be treated with respect when we learn to say no to requests and prioritize our own needs. Another Stoic philosopher, Seneca, promoted the idea of self-care. In his opinion, taking care of oneself is necessary for leading a happy life. Seneca said, meaning that a wasted life results from failure to put oneself first. We are not given a short life, but we make it short, and we are not ill-supplied, but wasteful of it. Saying no when it's appropriate helps us make good use of our resources and live a quality life in terms of relationships, activities, and time. The idea of control, especially over our decisions and behaviors, was stressed by Epictetus. He imparted the knowledge that what counts is how you respond to what occurs to you. Understanding self-prioritization requires grasp of this concept. By putting our needs first, we are proactively choosing how to respond to the expectations of others, keeping authority over our life. Carl Jung's theory of individuation makes sense from a wider psychological standpoint in relation to this Stoic approach. Understanding oneself as an individual distinct from the community is crucial, according to Jung. A step in reaching this individuation is setting priorities for oneself. This results in a more powerful and distinct personality that exudes significance and respect from others. Prioritizing oneself is also supported by Aristotle's concept of the golden mean, which is the ideal midway ground between two extremes. Finding balance, which involves weighing our own demands against those of others, is the secret to virtue, according to Aristotle. Saying no is a habit of keeping this equilibrium, not an indication of selfishness. We discover that putting oneself first is not a sign of selfishness, but rather a crucial step in earning the respect and esteem of others by putting these Stoic and philosophical ideas into practice. It teaches us how to efficiently manage our own resources and establishes expectations for how we should be treated by others. People are naturally inspired to appreciate their time and effort when we show them that we do. Our social and professional connections are improved as well as our mental and emotional health when we practice self-respect. Seneca, a renowned philosopher of the Stoic school of philosophy, offers us rich insights on the prudent use of time, a notion that has great resonance in both traditional knowledge and modern thinking. Seneca believes that time management should be about more than simply productivity or efficiency. It should also be about living a meaningful life and making deliberate decisions. It is not that we have a short life, but rather that we squander a lot of it, as Seneca famously said in his essay on the shortness of life. We have been granted an ample amount of time to live, and if we use it well, it should be enough to support our greatest accomplishments. This quotation perfectly captures the Stoic idea that time is something we can never get back. Seneca thus exhorts us to exercise caution in how we spend our time, stressing that it is a valuable resource that should only be spent sparingly and intentionally. Aristotle, who felt that it is vital to pursue pursuits that enliven our souls, would have agreed with this Stoic notion. The ultimate good for humans, according to Aristotle, is eudaimonia, or thriving, which can only be attained by leading virtuous lives and partaking in pursuits that are true to our nature. We can spend more of our time on things that advance our pleasure and personal development if we use our time effectively. Another renowned philosopher, Plato, made brief mention of the value of introspection and personal development. He thought that a life without reflection is not worth living. Here, good time management include reflection and introspection times that help us better grasp who we are and where we fit in the world. Intelligent time management is further reinforced by Carl Jung's psychological theory of individuation. Self-realization and personal growth are crucial, according to Jung. We may participate in activities that advance our psychological and personal development by selecting how we spend our time. The necessity of concentrating on what we can control was likewise emphasized by the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. He advocated concentrating on our decisions and deeds rather than wasting time on things that are beyond of our control. Making deliberate judgments that align with our beliefs and objectives is the foundation of our time management strategy. Step 8. Autonomy. The philosopher Epicurus makes a strong case for what constitutes genuine freedom. He is well known for his deep insights into the nature of pleasure and the ideal life. A key idea of individual liberty and self-mastery is encapsulated in his statement that no man is free who is not master of himself. This idea, which has strong roots in Epicurean philosophy, stresses the need of managing our emotions and choices as a means of improving our sense of autonomy and self-worth. Even though Epicurus's philosophy is different from Stoicism's, it is based on the idea that self-governance is the source of inner calm and freedom. According to him, achieving pleasure, which he defined as the absence of suffering and disturbance, requires leading a simple life, developing one's own virtues, and controlling one's impulses. This viewpoint challenges us to examine our feelings and thought processes, arguing that real freedom lies in our ability to control our inner states rather than the events outside of us. This viewpoint is in line with Epictetus's famed Stoic ideas, according to which our distress comes from our interpretation of circumstances rather than from the events themselves. Epictetus underlines that what makes us feel at ease is how we interpret what happens to us rather than the actual happenings. This Stoic perspective agrees with Epicurus' argument that the path to freedom lies in inward mastery. Philosophically speaking, Aristotle believed that self-mastery could be attained by practicing virtue and reason, which is how eudaimonia, or thriving, is defined. The ultimate kind of pleasure, according to Aristotle, is achieved via living virtuously and rationally. This condition is intimately associated with mastery over one's emotions and deeds. This concept is supported by Carl Jones' focus on individuation in psychology, which is the process of being conscious of oneself. Psychological completeness and autonomy, according to Jung, result from developing an awareness of our inner selves and integrating various facets of our personality. Similar to what Epicurus and the Stoics propose, this process entails comprehending and controlling our emotions, ideas, and behaviors. The significance of self-governance is also emphasized by Plato's philosophy. Throughout his dialogues, Plato often addresses the idea that controlling oneself is a prerequisite to controlling others. He contends that morality and harmony in life depend on having self-control over one's emotions and desires. Remember that the road to inner liberation and self-mastery must be traveled day by day, step by step, as we come to the end of our inquiry. The finest method of retaliation, according to Marcus Aurelius, is to become unlike the person who committed the wrong. Let us then make an effort to be masters of our own lives, directing our own virtues and intelligence instead of being influenced by the deeds or thoughts of others. I'm grateful that you could come along on this enlightening voyage via philosophical and Stoic insights. The day is over now. Remember to give it a big thumbs up. To see our most recent material, share it and subscribe to the channel.